Landscapes. Let's talk about landscapes. What is a landscape? Does anyone know what a landscape is? Well, if you said a landscape is a picture of a scene outside, you are right. To create distance in a picture, artists use foreground, middle ground, and background. And depending on the picture, sometimes they include a horizon line. It's not mentioned in this slide, but overlapping is another concept that is used to help create the look of distance. Let's look at some photographs to see what these look like. In the foreground, objects, or people in this case, are large and will have the most detail. You can see things in the foreground most clearly. In the middle ground, they go back a little bit, so the size is reduced a little bit, and objects are medium size. Objects sometimes are overlapped by things that are in the foreground. Objects or people in the background are small, and you can't see a lot of detail. Take a look at this picture, but wait a minute. Is this picture a landscape? No, it's not a landscape. This picture, although it was taken outside, it would be considered a portrait. But let's get back on track. So take a look at this picture, and can you see who is in the foreground? Everyone, just point to the person that you see up front that is the largest and probably has the most detail. Okay, now go back a little bit and look for the middle ground. And then look what's in the background. Can you recognize anyone in the background? Can you see me waving back there? Yeah, I didn't have my bathing suit that day, so I decided I was going to go swimming with my clothes on. But you can see I'm really not that small. But I appear small because I am in the background. This photograph is of the George Eastman house. Is this a landscape? Yes. Yes, it is a landscape. Can you see what's in the foreground? Often objects in the foreground or middle ground will overlap. What about the middle ground and background? What do you see there? Yes. Oh, I don't know why I'm here again, but yes, foreground, middle ground, background, once again. Sometimes pictures don't have objects in all three grounds. What ground in this picture does not have an object in it? Now, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means there's nothing there to point out as a foreground object. Right, you can see that the sandy area is right up front, but that lifeguard seat is more or less in the middle ground, and then you can see the ones that get smaller and smaller going into the background. The horizon line. The horizon line isn't a real line. It is a line, yes, it is a line that you will see, but it really separates the sky from the ground, or in this case, the water. And sometimes, not all the time, sometimes you can see it in a landscape. Well, tell me, in this picture, I just took this picture over the weekend. Can you see the horizon line in this photograph? Yes, because I'm looking out over Lake Ontario, and you can see that horizon line. What about that tree? What ground do you think that's in? Do we have anything in the middle ground? No. I bet some of you recognize this picture. There's a lot going on in this picture. Look at the grounds. Look what overlaps what. You can see there's a lot going on in the background here. We've got the Kodak building. We've got people in the background sitting in the stands watching the baseball game. The foreground, it really just looks like that little bit of ground there in the foreground. Everything seems to be taking place in the middle ground in this picture. I took this photograph over the summer. I think you can hopefully see foreground, middle ground, background. And perspective. We're not going to really talk a lot about perspective in this lesson, but perspective is where it looks like there's a vanishing point. Can you see way back in the distance there the little lighthouse at the end of the pier? Well, that is vanishing at a spot. It's not really vanishing, but they call it a vanishing point, where things kind of look like they disappear in that area. And of course you can see the horizon line. The posts that are holding up the fencing, notice how really large in front, and those posts in real life, yes, they're all the same size, but as they go back farther into the distance or towards that vanishing point, they seem to get smaller and smaller and smaller. Well, I hope this helps you understand a little bit better about foreground, middle ground, background, the horizon line, and even a bit about perspective.